Have you ever paused for a moment, truly paused, and asked yourself, whose life am I really living? Is it yours? Or is it a patchwork of silent expectations, your parents' dreams, your culture's ideals, society's definitions of success? Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse who spent years sitting beside the dying, heard one regret more than any other. I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. It's not a dramatic regret. It's quiet, like a whisper that grows louder as the clock runs out. And yet, it's devastating, because it's not about one mistake. It's about an entire life unlived. People don't reach the end tormented by one wrong decision. They're haunted by 1,000 silent compromises. The job they didn't love, but stayed in. The relationship that felt wrong, but looked right. The dreams they buried just to avoid being judged. And all the while, they wore a mask so perfectly that even they forgot what was underneath. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But for many, that privilege is postponed indefinitely. We are taught to follow the rules, to please, to obey, to fit in. And so we become who others want us to be, successful, polite, responsible. But in that performance, something real is lost, the raw, unfiltered self. Have you ever felt that ache? That strange emptiness, even when life looks good on paper? That's the soul knocking, gently at first, then louder until ignoring it becomes unbearable. The tragedy is most people don't ignore it on purpose. They simply never had the chance to hear it. Life moved too fast. Responsibilities piled up. And somewhere between what I should do and what I must do, they lost sight of what I long for. So let me ask you now, what would your 80-year-old self say? Would they thank you for being brave enough to be different? Or would they mourn the chances you never took? Real freedom isn't about rebellion, it's about alignment. Living true to yourself doesn't mean abandoning others. It means not abandoning yourself. It means making choices that feel right even when they don't look right. It means being misunderstood. It means risking disapproval. It means finally breathing in your own skin. And no, it's not easy. You might disappoint people. You might lose approval. You might even feel alone for a while. But you will gain something far more important: peace. A quiet knowing that, for once, your life is truly yours. And that's worth everything. There's a silence that follows people to their final days. It's not the silence of the hospital room or the hush of mourning family members. It's the silence of words unspoken, truths withheld, love undeclared, forgiveness delayed. The second most common regret Bronnie Ware recorded from the dying was this: I wish I had had the courage to express my feelings. At first, it sounds simple, almost obvious, but beneath that simplicity lies a lifetime of swallowed pain. You see, most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. We avoid confrontation, avoid vulnerability, avoid honesty, especially when that honesty might disturb the peace. So we stay silent. We don't say "I love you" often enough. We don't say "I'm sorry" when it matters most. We hold back compliments, bury resentments, and tiptoe around the truth because we're afraid of awkwardness, rejection, judgment. But what happens to a heart that's never allowed to speak? It hardens. It closes. And eventually, it withers under the weight of everything it never got to release. Think about it. How many conversations have you avoided in your life? How many times did you replay a sentence in your head but never say it out loud? How many relationships ended, not because of one catastrophic moment, but because both people were too afraid to speak? Many of Ware's patients admitted they wore emotional masks most of their lives. They suppressed how they truly felt just to maintain harmony. But harmony built on silence isn't peace. It's performance. They feared rocking the boat, only to realize too late that the boat had been sinking for years. And then at the end, they wished they had said it all. The anger, the love, the longing, the truth. Not to change the past, but to free themselves from it. Because expressing how you feel isn't just for the other person. It's for you. It's how you reclaim your voice. It's how you make peace with your story. In our culture, we often confuse strength with stoicism. We're told to keep it together, hold it in, be strong. But true strength isn't silence. True strength is presence. It's standing in your truth even when your voice shakes. And here's something else we rarely say. You don't need the perfect words to speak your heart. You just need honesty. Imperfect, vulnerable, raw honesty. Because the people who matter won't remember the eloquence. They'll remember the courage. And the people who don't matter, you don't owe them your silence. So maybe now's the time to ask, who in your life needs to hear something from you? Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's time to say, "I forgive you," or "I miss you," or "I can't keep pretending anymore." Maybe it's time to stop rehearsing your feelings in your head and start releasing them in real life. And yes, it might be messy. It might not go the way you expect. But the alternative is much worse: to reach the end with a full heart and a locked mouth. We often believe there will be more time, more chances, more right moments. But the truth is, the right moment is now. Because saying what you feel doesn't guarantee control. It guarantees freedom. And in the end, Freedom is all that matters. The third regret that Bronnie Ware heard again and again, spoken with trembling voices and tear-filled eyes, was this. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Not colleagues, not acquaintances, real friends. The ones who knew your laugh before life got serious. The ones who stayed up all night with you when your heart broke for the first time. The ones who saw your rawest, truest self and never asked you to hide it. So why do we lose them? The answer isn't dramatic. It's slow. It's silent. It's the soft erosion of connection through the pressure of adulthood. Schedules get tight. Work becomes consuming. Families grow. Priorities shift. And we assume the people who once felt like oxygen will always be there. But then, years pass. Messages get shorter. Calls less frequent. And one day, you realize you don't even remember the sound of their voice. And worse, you can't remember the last time you made the effort. Many of the people Bronnie cared for admitted they let friendships fade. Not out of malice, but out of neglect. They always meant to reach out. Always meant to call back. But life got in the way. And now, there was no time left to fix it. One woman said something haunting. I kept thinking we'd grow old together. I just didn't think we'd grow apart first. Let that sit for a moment. Because friendship isn't just about shared history. It's about intentional presence. It's about showing up, even when it's inconvenient. Especially when it's inconvenient. We live in a time where we're more connected than ever, yet lonelier than ever. We can send a text in 1 second, but we go months without saying, How are you really? You swear to sign our Zaidao cart, and we justify it. No, they're probably busy. It's been too long. They'll think it's weird if I just call out of the blue. But you know what's really weird? Waiting until someone dies to wish you had spoken? In Ware's book, one man said he hadn't seen his best friend in 20 years. They used to be inseparable. But then careers happened. Kids, divorce, distance. And now, lying in a hospital bed, he whispered, I wonder if he still thinks of me. The heartbreak wasn't in the lost time. It was in the lost possibility. The moments that never happened, the laughter never shared, the forgiveness never asked for. Friendship isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet presence that reminds you who you are. It's the mirror that reflects your past and the anchor that holds your story when you forget it. And you don't need 10 of them. Just 1 or 2 is enough to keep your soul from forgetting itself. So here's a question worth asking. Who have you let drift away? Not because they stopped caring, but because you stopped reaching. Who is waiting for a sign that you still think of them? Who could you message right now? Not with a perfect apology or some grand explanation, but with a simple, honest, hey, I miss you. Can we talk sometime? You don't need to rekindle every old friendship, but the ones that shaped you, the ones that still matter, deep down, deserve a second chance. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now. Because the most tragic thing about regret is that it's always clear in hindsight. But you still have time to reconnect, time to rebuild, time to remind someone that they were never forgotten. Ware wrote that even the friends who weren't contacted until it was too late were often thrilled to hear from the dying. They had missed them too. They were just waiting for the door to open again. Let this be your sign to open that door. Don't let your dearest relationships become ghosts haunting the corners of your memory. Keep them alive. Speak. Reach. Remember. Because at the end of life, it's not success or status you'll be aching for. It's someone who knew you when you still knew yourself. The fourth regret whispered in the quiet halls of hospice care was this. I wish I'd let myself be happier. Let. That one word changes everything. They didn't say they wished happiness had come to them. They didn't say the world denied them joy. They said they never gave themselves permission. This regret isn't about external failure. It's about internal resistance. Because the truth is, most people don't consciously choose to suffer. But they do get used to it. They normalize stress. They accept discontent. They tell themselves, this is just how life is. And before they know it, years have passed. Whole decades of joy postponed, traded for seriousness, obligation, and the illusion of control. Many of Ware's patients confess they didn't even realize they were allowed to be happy. Somewhere along the way, they absorbed the belief that happiness was irresponsible, childish, naive. That to be a good adult meant to carry weight, to be vigilant, to get through it. But here's the tragedy. They didn't get through it. They just lived around it. They laughed less than they could have. They loved less deeply than they wanted to. They followed rules that no longer applied to the life they were living. And they let fear masquerade as practicality for far too long. One man said, I kept waiting for the stress to end before I could enjoy myself, but the stress never ended. And now, neither will the waiting. How many of us are doing the same? We tell ourselves we'll be happy after the next goal. After the debt is paid, after the kids are grown, after the career stabilizes, after we lose the weight, after we prove ourselves. But happiness doesn't live in the after. It lives in the now or not at all. Letting yourself be happy doesn't mean being reckless. It doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities. It means making space for joy within responsibility. It means refusing to postpone your soul's nourishment just because the world says there's always more to do. Think about this. When was the last time you did something just because it made you feel light? Not productive, not strategic, just light. Most people can't remember. And that's the problem. We confuse heaviness with meaning. We think the more serious something is, the more valuable it must be. But meaning can be found in delight too. In music, in dancing, in ridiculous jokes, in morning sun on your face, in doing something silly without explaining it to anyone. Bronnie Ware wrote about a woman who had spent 40 years being the responsible one. She raised her siblings, cared for her parents, worked a job she hated, never traveled, never dated. She wore her sacrifice like armor. But in the final weeks of her life, she cried every night, not because she was dying, but because she realized she had never lived. I waited my whole life to be free, she said, and now that I am, I don't have time left to enjoy it. You do. If you're reading this now, you're alive. That means it's not too late. Not too late to laugh harder. To loosen your grip. To let yourself be imperfect and joyful anyway. You don't have to sell everything and move to Bali. But you might need to dance in your kitchen again. To buy yourself flowers. To call someone just to say you love them. To stop taking yourself so seriously. To put your phone down and notice the sky. To cry without shame. To play. To breathe. Happiness isn't the goal. It's the fuel. The thing that makes the rest of life bearable, beautiful, and real. The dying don't regret not being famous. They don't regret not being in control. They regret not letting themselves feel light while they had the strength to lift their own hearts. So, ask yourself, what stories have I told myself about joy? When did I decide that pleasure was unimportant? What tiny act of rebellion could I take today against the weight of a life too serious? You don't need to wait for permission. You are the only one who can give it. And if you don't, one day someone might be holding your hand in a quiet room while you whisper the same words so many have said before you. I wish I had let myself be happier. Thank you for watching until the end. If any part of this touched you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.